Hello everyone and welcome back to Obas Trending Gist. Today we are diving into a crucial segment from the Arise News The Morning Show featuring Annie, Rufai Oseni, Ayo and Dr. Abati. They tackled everything from alarming school abductions to a shocking incident of parents assaulting a teacher, painting a vivid picture of Nigeria's current challenges. But what caught our attention even before the main discussion was Rufai Oseni's remarkable statement about President Tinubu's possibly finishing his second term by 2030. Is this a casual remark, a prophetic insight, or a subtle political jab? Let us watch a segment and then break it all down. Sit back and take a watch.
Ayo.
Good morning, Annie. How are you today?
I'm good. Good to be back with all of you. Rufai, hello.
Anyese, I'm not good. Nigeria is not going to the World Cup.
I know. We're all sad about it.
This is the only thing that brings us together that makes us happy. World Cup. At least, even if we know we are not going to reach quarterfinal, at least we'll reach second round. We can't even qualify for World Cup. Back to back.
Very sad. Very sad. Hopefully next time, as we say.
That's 2030.
Exactly.
2030, can you imagine?
Yeah, it'll take some
By that
time.
time, President Tinubu is on his way out if he wins second term.
Yes, so now to some breaking news. Before we start what's trending, we're just learning with officials of Kebbi State government confirming a terrorist attack on Maga Comprehensive Girls Secondary School, where an unspecified number of female students have been abducted. So the chief press secretary to Kebbi State Governor Ahmed Idris confirmed the attack, while also saying that the details are still somewhat ambiguous as of now. But here's what we know. The state deputy governor, Umar Tafida, has led a team of government officials to the scene of the crime, while sources report that a staff of the school was killed and some even sustained different injuries as the terrorists got into the school and shot sporadically. So we'll definitely follow that story, as we progress throughout the day. But as we talk about insecurity, we start what's trending today with the head of the Catholic Church and sovereign of the Vatican, Pope Leo XIV, publicly naming Nigeria as a country where Christians face frequent attacks. The Pope made these comments on his X profile, but he also addressed a crowd after the Angelus prayer yesterday overlooking St. Peter's Square. And that's where the Pope used his platform to voice his concern with Nigeria. So these comments come amid what's really become international scrutiny of Nigeria after U.S. President Donald Trump designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern over an alleged Christian genocide. He also threatened military intervention, as we know, but let's see what the Pope had to say.
Anche oggi, in diverse parti del mondo, i cristiani subiscono discriminazioni e persecuzioni. Penso in particolare a Bangladesh, Nigeria, Mozambico, Sudan e altri paesi, dai quali giungono spesso notizie di attacchi a comunità e luoghi di culto.
So those comments from the Pope came as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu this weekend sent a peace emissary, Dr. Abiodun Essia, to Plateau State to, in the administration's words, bring a sense of calm and push for intercommunal harmony. The announcement came on a post on X from the special advisor to the President on Information, Bayo Onanuga, on Sunday, where he stated in part that Essia met with Christian clerics and Fulani Mieti Allah community leaders. Delegates, traditional rulers, and more, all of them gathered to discuss ways to strengthen peace and promote the coexistence of diverse communities. She also paid a curtsy visit to Reverend Ezekiel Dachomo. This is someone who's been really outspoken about the killings in Plateau and other parts of the North Central. The pastor has repeatedly said that Christians are being terrorized and persecuted in northern Nigeria. And videos of Dachomo, like this latest one that you're seeing on your screens, or at burial sites of mass graves, have all gone viral on social media. So all of this is happening as different members of the Nigerian government, to this day, they're still repeatedly denying these U.S. allegations of a Christian genocide. But the U.S. House of Representatives is getting ready to hold open public hearings on President Trump's designation of Nigeria as a particular concern starting this Thursday. So, this story has somewhat taken on a new layer given the fact that we're hearing from the Pope on this as well. And Rufai, since you're sitting next to me, I'll start with you. If we take all of these stories along with that breaking news of, these female students getting kidnapped, how should we be thinking about the Pope and just insecurity in Nigeria overall?
I just pray we're able to get the girls back, but it reminds me of Chibok. It reminds me of Dapchi. God knows where Leo XIV is. But you see, the painful thing is that those that advocated for Leo XIV are the ones with the talking points today against Christian genocide. You can see how people become hypocritical and they use the plight of people for their own political benefits in this country. And may God visit them. May God visit their conscience and ask them questions. I think this move by the federal government is misplaced. And I say that. You are not showing any intention of solving the problem. You are sending your governmental aides to go and say there's no Christian genocide. And at the same time, you send somebody to Plateau to talk to Dachomo. Your governmental aide had a fallout with Piers Morgan. We are still waiting to see that interview. The world knows that there's Christian genocide in Nigeria. I've quoted Jim Shannon. There are many other reports. In fact, this Congress that is going to start its proceedings on Thursday, regards country of particular, there was a Catholic priest that went there, I think about a year ago, that Oji played the video where he went to give evidence as regards what's happening. So you can see the massive level of insecurity, but the government is not ready. If they are ready, they will release the list of terrorist financiers. Dubai shared that list with us in the last administration. But you see, for the sake of politics, they will never. The likes of Shegumi keeps running around and saying all sorts, peeing on the graves of people that died. People keep getting kidnapped and killed, but the government thinks the way to go about it is propaganda. I'm happy that Fox News is now also beaming the light on Samuel Jackson's case. The man that, in defense of himself, killed a bandit or a terrorist and he was taken to court. Blasphemy laws exist in Nigeria, and some governmental ministers are saying that, no, we respect religious freedom, but blasphemy laws exist in Nigeria. I'm happy that the Pope has said it. Till today, the other time when this happened, President Tinubu said, oh, he's going to get ambassadors. Maybe they are going to get this week, I don't know. So you can see that the government reaction, like they will always do, is to deflect. But deflection does not solve the problem. Look at an APC chieftain, Makiri, that was killed recently. All of those things show that the government is not ready to solve the problem. Annie, I'm sad to announce to you that many years after, we'll still be talking about this thing because government is not ready, and they've shown it. And,
to your point, speaking of security or insecurity, let's head over to Katsina State now, where shocking new footage appears to show a number of armed bandits on motorcycles and bicycles storming the Kankia local government area of the state. So in this video posted on Saturday, a group of bandits ride into an open area as gunshots can literally be heard firing into the air as no security presence is there to counter them or protect residents. Let's take a look at the video, then discuss it. We're seeing that video as new photos were also released on social media as evidence of a peace deal struck between bandit groups and community stakeholders in that local government area, as well as two others. So in photos shared on Saturday on Dan Katsina's X page, his caption states that negotiations ended with a mutual commitment to stopping the attacks in the affected areas, which have brought some sense of hope for a more stable security environment, allegedly. But this peace deal has raised questions about what that peace deal might look like in neighboring local government areas, especially in Kano State. Interestingly, it's often believed that The de-escalation of violence in one area can have a ripple effect, pushing the violence instead onto another area in close proximity. And I'll come to you on this. I mean, that video, it's just the brazenness of the attack, how just, they're completely out in the open and no one's around to stop it.
So the stories we've taken this morning show clearly that we have a deep insecurity problem in Nigeria, and it's an inherited problem. It didn't start with this administration. The only challenge is that previous administrations have not been able to deal with it. Going back to the last story around how we even negotiate with bandits, that has been criticized heavily by in different quarters. If you're talking about, you say, well, we negotiated with, or we gave amnesty to people like Niger Delta militants and all that. These people had an ideology. There was a cause for their violence. What is the ideology of the bandits? That they are criminals? Very soon we'll be negotiating with kidnappers and thieves. We'll be asking them to come to a round table to let us talk as to how we can appease them so that they don't steal look at the brazenness of their attack and the fact that they have no respect for security operatives. So it's either one, the security operatives at this point can be accused of being in collusion with them, whereby they are aware or they are compromised, because there's no way that we have security apparatus in Nigeria and this brazen show in broad daylight is happening. So it's either one, we begin to interrogate whether or not the security operatives have been compromised. The second part of it is that we are just unable to, we don't have capacity for this. And that's why some Nigerians are saying, let the US come. Because if we've not been able to deal with this problem for so long, then maybe we need external help from people who have capacity to help us. But at the crux of it is the fact that we need to deal with this incessant insecurity that's plaguing across all Nigeria. And I want to speak about the Kebbi girls. It is sad that despite all the campaigns that have happened, we've talked about other kidnappings that have happened in the past, and now when we're really talking insecurities on the front burner, it's almost a slap on the face of the government to see in the Northwest another case of kidnapping in a school. We've had the Safe School Initiative. What happened to that? We've had interventions following kidnappings. What happened to that? It means that the government is admitting through this incident that they are unable to tackle the situation. And that's one of the primary responsibilities of government, to ensure security of lives and property. Finally, on Christian genocide, I'll just say this one point, that with Dr. Esiet going to Plateau State, I'd said it was a good move because we need to deal with this kinetically and non-kinetically, but it's also an admission that the government was too hasty in responding to the claims of Christian genocide without even an investigation first to speak to community leaders. So their reaction, first of all, knee-jerk was deny, say it's okay, then go back to say, okay, come together, let us talk to you and ask. Should that not have been done first before they went on to deny that it was happening in the first place?
And, as we talk about security in schools, I want to take our next story from Abuja now, where a new video has sparked widespread reactions after being posted on Friday. Here's why. It shows the students' parents, Mr. and Mrs. Balogun, at Starville School in Abuja, slapping a teacher known as Mr. Etim. So this attack happened after Mr. Etim said that their son in year 8 pushed him twice, which led to him slapping the teacher, or slapping the boy, in retaliation. So in this video, Mr. and Mrs. Balogun quickly become violent with that teacher. Let's take a look.
For you to slap my boy, do you know that past 2 years my children? Are you stupid?
Mr. Makundo, I would have also recorded, but I'm not recording, so you would drop
You slap my boy.
Leave my phone. Madam, leave my phone. Leave my phone. Let him beat him. Beat him very much. I can stand there and let him beat you.
When he beats my own son.
Let him beat him. Let him beat him. Let him beat him.
How dare you touch my child? How dare you? How dare you?
You can slap me for what?
Yes, I slapped him too. You can have the video published.
And, Dr. Abati, this video has sparked reactions online about a teacher's responsibility, disciplinary action in schools, and also the roles of parents in schools. The Educare CEO, Alex Onia, followed up on this incident and reported that this student has now been expelled and the parents have been permanently banned, as you know, from the school as well and online.
Very good.
Some have said that the teacher should have never slapped the student, even if the student pushed him. But you know, violence in schools between teachers and students, we've done stories like this before, but this video is shocking.
Okay, this is not new, but there are many views, many dimensions. There's a traditional view holding that, look, students are, you know, in schools and teachers are in local parentage, and part of the purpose of bringing up a child is for teachers standing in local parentage to help to discipline children, particularly when they are involved in any form of misdemeanor. That's the origin of the phrase, spare the rod and spoil the child. So traditionally, many parents will hand over their wards to teachers to help train them very well. But that view has since changed over the years. This is not the first incident. I recall an incident in the 80s, I think at a school called ISI, where a parent took thugs to the school to go and beat up a teacher who had disciplined their child. And now over the years, we have had similar examples. Now, there is a law called Child Rights Act 2003. Under the Child Rights Act 2003, all forms of cruelty or harshness or violence involving children, is not, they are not allowed. However, in some parts of the law, if you check the criminal code, if you check the penal code, to flog a child, cane a child, slap a child is not considered a crime. However, in some states of the North, since this incident occurred in the North, the caning of children is banned in many of the states because, the situation in the North, about over 10 million children out of school. The assumption is that if you keep applying corporal punishment, then the students will be discouraged.
Come to school,
but the other leg of it, whether it's in the North or the South, is about parenting, the attitude of parents. This particular case is that of Mr. and Mrs. Balogun. Mr. and Mrs. Balogun went to the school physically to beat up a teacher who had slapped their child. And look at what the child did. He pushed the teacher. Should a student push the teacher? That in itself is an act of violence, which will raise questions about parental upbringing. Many parents in this country have abdicated responsibility. They are absentee parents. They are children that are brought up on a Western menu. Expatriate children whose values do not even exist. And so at that level, you have the upbringing of the child. How about the school itself? Because we were told in some reports that it was even the school principal that was taking the video of the incident and also encouraging the parents. So what is the policy in the school? What other steps did the school itself take before exposing the teacher to the danger of being attacked by the parents? And then eventually, of course, the teacher was expelled. The student also was expelled. So a lot of interconnected issues about parenting, about collapse of moral values, about also the standards in the schools. However, the basic excuse is that we have had cases of children being beaten in schools and the child just fell ill or the child died. There have been some dramatic cases like that. And in this particular case, you can hear the mother of the boy, saying, oh, what if you had killed him? What if he had died? And many parents will say, well, they pay so much in these private schools that, if you pay millions per term, who is that teacher who will go and assault your child? So the values have changed. Absolutely. But it's important to continue to campaign that, look, discipline is not something we can joke with.
What an intense, deeply settling look into the heart of Nigeria's ongoing struggle, from the brazen act of terrorism and banditry to the shocking breakdown of discipline in our schools. The Arise News panel has truly opened our eyes to the multifaceted challenges facing our nation. So, let us start with the grave security situations. The heartbreaking news of female students abducted from Maga Comprehensive Girls Secondary School in Kebbi State is a chilling echo of past tragedies like Chibok Girls and Dapchi. It underscores a persistent vulnerability that continues to haunt our educational institution, leaving countless girls, young lives, and families in peril. Rufai Oseni rightly pointed out the painful familiarity of these events, questioning the sincerity of those who previously advocated for victims like Leo XIV, but now seems to engage in political grandstanding. He calls out what he perceived as hypocrisy, suggesting that some exploit the plight of the vulnerable for political gains. Adding another layer to this crisis, Pope Leo XIV publicly condemned Nigeria as a country where Christians face frequent attacks, placing it alongside nations like Bangladesh, the Sudan. This international scrutiny comes on the heels of President Trump's designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern over alleged Christian genocide, while President Tinubu's administration dispatched a peace emissary to Plateau State, meeting with both Christians and clerics and Fulani leaders to foster harmony. Rufai Oseni sharply criticized the government's overall response as misplaced and mere propaganda. He argued that the continuous denial of this widespread allegation, despite numerous reports and testimonies, including the viral videos of Reverend Ezekiel Dakomo at mass grave, reveals a government seemingly unwilling or unable to genuinely confront problems head-on. The upcoming U.S. House of Representatives hearing on this matter will undoubtedly intensify the pressure on Nigeria. The situation in Katsina further illustrates the government's uphill battle. The video of armed bandits brazenly storming a community in broad daylight, firing shots with no security presence, is a stark reminder of the erosion of state authority. While reports of a peace deal with this bandit group offers a glimmer of hope, they also raises critical questions. Are we negotiating with criminals who have no ideology beyond violence and the economic gain? Ayo, another astute panelist, vehemently criticized the approach, warning that it sets a dangerous precedent that could lead to negotiating with kidnappers and thieves. She questions the integrity of security operatives, suggesting potential collusion or compromise, and highlighted the lack of capacity to tackle these perceived threats. So, beyond security, the incident at Stavis School in Abuja exposed a disturbing collapse of societal values and parental responsibility. The sight of parents physically assaulting a teacher, Mr. 18, for disciplining their son is frankly appalling. Dr. Abati offered a nuanced perspective reflecting on the traditional African view where teachers were instructed with discipline, contrasting it with the modern legal framework like Child Rights Act of 2003, which prohibits cruelty and violence against children. However, he also stressed that the student's act of pushing the teacher was an act of violence itself, highlighting a critical breakdown in parental upbringing and moral values. So, the unfortunate expulsion of the student and the permanent ban of the parents from the school, while a necessary disciplinary action, doesn't address the root causes of such behavior. Now, let us cycle back to Rufai Oseni's striking comments at the very beginning of the show about President Tinubu's potentially completing his second term by 2030. In the context of the pervasive insecurity, the international condemnation, and the societal breakdown discussed, Rufai's statements gained a deeper resonance. Is it a cynical observation that despite the monumental challenges, the political machinery will likely ensure continuity regardless of public suffering? Or is it an understatement acknowledgement of the incredibly tough road ahead, implying that even with a second term, the monumental issues facing Nigeria will persist? His critique of the government's misplaced responsibility and the propaganda suggests a profound disillusionment with the current approach. For Rufai, it seems the political cycle continues while the fundamental issues of security and governance remains largely unaddressed. His perspective implies that until these deep-seated problems are genuinely confronted with concrete actions rather than deflection, the country will continue to grapple with instability irrespective of who holds the highest office. Ultimately, the story from today's Arise News Morning Show reveals a nation at a crossroad. The call for external help, the urgent need for robust security measures, and a fundamental re-evaluation of societal values are not just headlines. They are pleas for a safer, more just, and more secure Nigeria. Thank you for joining Obas Trending Gist. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful discussion.